Hello, and welcome back to the LIC podcast. It's been a minute. We were having a discussion a couple of days ago, and we realized that Jose had not seen 10 Cloverfield Lane, which is obviously a problem that we needed to remedy as soon as possible. This would have been earlier in our list had we known we had somebody that had not seen it. So we just watched that movie. We literally just finished it up like a couple minutes ago. So I'm going to take it over to Jose right away for first impressions.
Oh, man. This movie was very interesting because it was so subversive. I thought it was going to go in so many different ways all of the time. And I kind of guessed the main arcing desire that Howard as the antagonist had initially, and how slowly but surely, because of how quickly and chaotic, as he said, everything went down, like it didn't actually end up panning out in like the sick fantasy way that he was attempting to do so. So it was like it was very cool because, initially I was under the impression that everything that was happening was Howard's doing, in the sense that that's how he wanted it to be. Like he wanted two people with him or whatever,
The beauty of the first act. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I thought that was very strong. Not having the context of having seen the first one to pretty much like gel me into what the reality of what people are dealing with is like. It was pretty interesting. I do have to say though that it really caught me off guard, the fact that this lady, Michelle, at the very beginning of the movie, she's in her apartment, and like getting ready and stuff like that. And she hears the first boom. Like it shakes the entirety of her house, and she lives in an apartment like.
But she's going in her mind at that moment. She's like literally emotionally divorcing her longtime husband, because it looked like an engagement ring.
Yeah, fiance.
So fiance. So I can see. That's fair enough. And they do show the dresser rumble or whatever. So that's
hell yeah. No, I mean, like, listen, there are that what she was going through was a very intense moment in her personal life, but there are animal visceralities that really should knock you out of whatever kind of thing you got going on yourself. You know what I mean? Like when your objective reality shakes around you, and it's like, and it isn't like an earthquake, because it certainly didn't see, like it was like the boom of a missile, like, that already had like taken me a little off of.
I think that just speaks volumes about how fucking terrible Ben probably was.
Yeah, this is all Ben's fault.
Yep, it's like what's better, going out there in World War III or staying here with this guy? I'll take my chances on it.
I do want to talk about, like you alluded to, Howard's intentions a little bit. And I do still feel that there's definitely wiggle room around that to understand what Howard's intentions really were. I don't know if that's like a right away conversation or not, but I would love to talk about it.
Was he the guy because she was at the gas station at the beginning of the movie, but wasn't it a different truck that was behind her?
It's really hard to tell.
It's a strong implication.
Because I thought that it was like that was another subversion, in the sense that I thought it was like a black truck that like pulled up behind.
I think
her.
It might have just been dark. Because
can you just go back there just for a second? We're doing some real quick research right now, guys.
Because I didn't notice this on my early watch through, but going back to it and having like the story, the weirdness around that truck there definitely gave me pause.
It's the same headlights, I think.
Yeah, if it has that rack on top with the lights, then maybe.
Yeah, turn on the volume.
Yeah, I'll have to mute it.
It's up there.
This is high tech shit we're working with.
Yeah, exactly.
At the LIC
very corrosive.
basement.
Touch the body. I don't know.
Highly
acid.
corrosive.
We gotta talk about that scene eventually. But yeah, we're checking on this truck. Okay, it does have the rack lights on the hood, but I wonder if it'll show us like the yellow or beige like side of it.
I think it's just dark here.
Yeah, I don't think they give it away quite. It would be another like layer of intention though on top of, because Howard, we only get Howard's story of he was driving really fast, he was trying to get home, he accidentally hit her.
Yeah, I don't know. That truck looks like a different make to me than the one, which totally fine. Like that's another great way to subvert because it's like the same thing happens no matter what, but it isn't the exact same guy. Because you look at the side of the car, it looks black.
Yeah,
I don't know, I mean, at least to me.
And if Howard was telling the truth about him rushing home, this probably wouldn't be the demeanor of a man rushing home.
Yeah, but if that's
right, especially if he's in the know in the sense that like he's a prepper like that.
Right.
I mean, maybe he was looking for someone to bring to the bunker, though. Because it does seem as though he wants someone in there, and if he saw her at the gas station.
Yeah, there's a lot of chronology issues when it comes to that, right? Because it's like, if it happened right away, I like, how much time was it between the boom that we heard in the apartment and her actually getting run off the road? Because apparently it gets dark here, wherever it is that they live in Louisiana or whatever, it gets dark like this. Like,
well, yeah. So it looks like they were probably.
Because she was on the road for a little bit, right? Enough to need gas. Gets back on the road. By that point, it's dark. Ben is hitting her up because he's probably got home now. And he's like, oh, what the fuck is happening here?
Yeah, found the ring and stuff.
Yeah. So I would give it, like 2-3 hours in between her getting out of her house and then actually getting abducted.
Ran off the road, abducted, yeah.
Yeah.
Both?
Yeah, okay, so if Howard knows for 2 to 3 hours that shit has hit the fan, right? Okay, I can imagine that he's frantic for the first 40 minutes trying to get everything put together. He's like, okay, I got probably enough time to like before like the fallout or whatever, like really like starts landing back down.
Because they're outside of a major city. Somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. So he's like, okay, maybe I have enough time to go abduct somebody to go like to provide like this like fantasy thing, right? Because it's like if he, well, go ahead.
I was just going to say the rushing demeanor is all giving Howard the benefit of the doubt, though. Like when they're in the bunker and he, spoiler alert for everybody who didn't read the fine print.
Came out in 2016.
After he kills Emmett, he says, this is how it was always supposed to be.
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, Emmett had to fight his way into the bunker. Like, he broke his arm trying to get in.
Yeah, but she was an expected part of that as well.
Huh?
She or having a girl in there was an expected part of that as well.
Yes.
If he's saying this is how it was supposed to be.
Yep. Yep. That's what I'm assuming. That's what was my assumption in terms of Howard's genuine intentions of being like what he wanted was to not have anybody except him and this, and this girl who it would seem like he's genuinely going to just infantilize to make it seem like she's like a perpetual teenager, like / like preteen kind of situation.
Yeah.
And and then it just flies in the ointment essentially to his dark deed.
Yeah, it's so frustrating that we just get like the flashes of like this horrible past of Howard where he like kidnapped some girl and kept her in his bunker for a while.
That's another chronology thing that I'm kind of confused about because it's like this dude Emmett supposedly worked on getting this bunker done, right? So it's like, and this was also the same place that this girl was kept at the same time. It's like, how was that?
I think it's been done for a few years.
Yeah, because it probably takes years and years to put something like this together. And if he, I mean, this is from Emmett's own mouth. He's like, I helped him build it over years, and it was probably. He said he went to that girl in high school, but she disappeared shortly after.
That girl went to high school with his little sister. He was working probably before she was abducted. So I think it was completed being built, and then that girl disappeared.
That's interesting.
Based on my understanding.
Huh.
Yeah, one of the things that really strikes me about this movie is the capacity that framing has in a film, because I think most people when they watch this and they're up to the end of the first act, I'll call it, when she hits him across the face with the bottle and steals his keys and shit.
Yeah.
I think we're all on board with the assumption that this is some deranged man, right? and he somehow convinced this Emmett character that everything is fine. And then we get the lady at the door who is clearly fucked up from some like alien shit. And then there's this like major tone shift, right? And there's something so profound to me about this, because it was like in that moment, in the first time watching it, I was in this area of like 95% confident this dude's crazy. And then there's that frame shift and I go down to like 5%. And now all of his like weird tendencies seem like his heavy breathing. He's a big fat guy.
Yeah.
His like weird like stare and conversational like forms. These are all probably side effects of his like being in the military and not like really being socialized. You know, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, but I just
paranoid too.
I would
a
imagine
lot of his pauses are paranoia.
He has the exact same problem probably that a lot of conspiracists have, in the sense that they think they're a lot smarter than people. And even if they are a lot smarter than people, right, then some people like, you know, they hold disdain for other people in that way, because they're like, everyone's just a sleeping sheep. You know what I mean? Well, I'm the one bothering to do the prep work, and then once they need me, you know, like now they like bother to hear and stuff like that. He gave me that feeling, you know, whenever he conversed with Emmett. You know, like I really felt like you could really transpose his conversations with Emmett to be like, that's probably how he was with like everybody, just very short with people who weren't quasi girl women, you know.
Quasi girl.
Yeah.
don't say woman. Not in this bunker.
Little princess. Yeah, so this is one that I was thinking about through the movie. Do you think it's a sexual thing, or it's like a daughter thing?
I honestly think it's probably like a daughter thing.
He's not really creepy, but
yeah, it's more like he's trying to.
He's creepy in other senses. To be clear,
it seems like he's trying to like crystallize a moment that he fucked up. You know, like
assuming he actually has a daughter,
which supposedly he does. I mean, Emmett says as much to the fact that, I mean, if he's an individual who's part of the neighborhood, exactly, he knew him prior to the whole situation, and he knew the fact that he had a family who left for Chicago.
He also wears a wedding ring. Howard does. So
oh, good eye.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like he really suffered from his daughter being taken away and.
Yeah, to the point that perhaps he had a snap with reality.
Well, he said his wife turned his daughter against him, which, you know, with the backdrop of him being like a conspiracy theorist guy, it fits the bill.
Yeah, for sure, right? I mean, like, again, it's like just because you're right doesn't mean you're not pathological, right? Like, that's the issue with it in, like, what I was...
and he said I tried to save them, and that would explain better why he would still wear a wedding ring.
Yeah, I mean, that one's tough because there is a lot of empty space in between what could be assumed from Howard's actual factual life.
You know what gave me pause on like the sexual side of it though is that right after Emmett's out of the picture, he shaves his beard.
Yeah, he looks more like a dad. That's pretty much all it looks like.
A dad, yeah.
Yeah, like he just looks like he tries to look just more domestic, if anything.
Plus, chances are that guy's dick does not work.
It's very possible.
I got a chuckle. I'll take the chuckle. Even if it's from the easy one in the room.
Oh, I'm the easy one.
Yeah,
I mean, he's a big fat guy and he's probably in his 50s, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, tough to say for sure. I mean, how long were they in the bunker for from when she got caught until she left, right? Because I mean,
that's a great question.
He got the cut, you know, deep enough to need stitches, and by the end of the situation, that had completely healed. He had like a little scar, but it had completely healed.
That's a great timekeeping piece that I had never even thought of. Just because I thought the montage could be any amount of time, almost.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, so it's like, how long does it normally take for a pretty gnarly gash like that to get 100%
like at least
healed?
A month, right?
At least, yeah.
At the very least, yeah.
For that deep on like a head wound too.
Yeah, you'd imagine that in that situation, in that kind of way, like there'd be people coming to knock at his door all of the time, you know?
Well, it seems like he lives in a
those-
pretty isolated place. And then he's got maybe a couple neighbors that he knows.
Yeah, because I mean, he is like in the middle of a cornfield kind
Mm-hmm.
of looking, or like a maize field looking.
Basically farmland. Yeah.
Mhm.
And he doesn't seem super personable.
Right.
Yeah. Holy shit! And then there's actual aliens.
Yeah, so let me ask your opinion on this, because I think this is, for me, like one of the things that I'll save the ratings for later, but this is like when you can make a really good thriller and then splash in sci-fi, and this is like just a splash. You know, there's this cool part where it has this like second ending almost to the film, where you get the majority of the, I guess, the outside world building just packed into a couple minutes. But you get both the like regular thriller of the difficulties of this like psycho in this bunker and all the human interactions in there, but you also get this like spice, this like little secret seasoning in the mix that gives you aliens and then tells you it's aliens. There's no ambiguity. It's like, it's freaking aliens in the sky. That like really kicks it up a notch for me. Like these thrillers, a lot of thrillers are good just because of those like really intense human interaction moments, but this one gets a little something extra. Did you find that the aliens in it were like a boon to the film?
Oh yeah, most certainly. I was very happy to see the fact that they actually spent some time outside. I was very worried that it was just going to be the situation where we get a little snippet of something the moment she's outside, and then boom, the movie's over, and I'm like, oh my god, like, you know. But they actually showcase the fact that, you know, the outside world genuinely is almost pretty much no better than being in that fucking bunker.
Yeah, that's pretty close.
Yeah.
I really love it. I feel like this movie gets a rap a little bit sometimes for being like a try to have a twist at the ending sort of thing or something like that. But I don't see it that way, because I think that the movie was always the same. What was happening was always the same. We were just experiencing it as Michelle, where we don't know what's going on. And I personally, I would have made all the assumptions that she did.
Yeah.
Like, assumption number 1, man who chained me up in here is a pervert.
Bad man.
And I got to get out of here. Yeah. And then we go through her process with her. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was very nice how pragmatic all of her choices were
Mm.
in terms of how she went about doing everything.
She goes with the most likely thing until she gets different information.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, just as well too, because it isn't as though what she's, you know, because she was genuinely just seeking confirmation over what the fuck was happening, you know. And it is very easy for somebody to just be like, oh, you know, especially a farmer that wants to like spin a tale, be like, oh yeah, you know, like I killed these 2 pigs and then I left them outside, like, oh, it's radiation, you know. Don't
They just looked like long dead pigs to me. That
Yeah.
looked like rot of something that had been dead for a long time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
But I don't think we saw flies on them. Were there flies on them? Because that would be weird if there were not flies on them.
It's an interesting question, because they use the wildlife in the second ending as an indicator that the air is probably okay for the moment.
Yeah, if birds are fine, you're going to be fine.
I don't remember seeing flies.
which I'm just so confused about,
we
because there's
check if there were
literally a
flies?
gigantic spaceship chucking gas into the fucking. Like I don't understand how the air is okay, and also at the same time there's these ships that are literally polluting. You know, what I mean, like they're sending thick plumes of gas, and it's, you know, just wearing a plastic covering in front of your face is enough. Like,
Well, it's a
She
special.
built some sort
you
of
need
filter
a bottle
into
cap,
it.
and you need
Some
and
stuff
you
in
need
there.
Your,
need a-
you need
a
your
tampon or something. I don't.
There's no way he had tampons in there. Well, maybe he did.
Oh, he
if he's so
definitely did.
Ew.
I mean, if
Definitely had tampons.
if part of his scheme was to always try to, you know, but
Wouldn't
you know,
that be the number one thing though? Like if I was trapped in a bunker with a man who said he saved my life and we were just in there and then I saw that he had feminine products, I would be deeply concerned.
right on top of
Like you planned for this.
Why did you plan for this?
on top of the fact, I mean, wouldn't
No flies.
female hygiene,
Oh, there are
things
some
like that
flies.
mess with the tank.
Not
What
if you
is-
just put them in the incinerator.
Yeah. Oh, that's fair.
Did you see flies?
Yeah, I saw flies.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah.
the air was fine then. Yeah, and we kind of learned that by the end of there are flies.
Are you sure that's flies? It looks just like it's like the skin's shedding off of them.
I wish this had like a slower play feature
I
on
know.
the Amazon thing, but it does not.
Yeah, like you can go.
But yeah,
play
There's
with
a
watch
zoom
the
in after
movement.
this on the faces. Wait.
Oh, that could just be dust.
Yeah,
Wait.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, because there's no like,
It zooms
flies
in on
usually
their
fly in
faces.
circles. Like, it looks like just skin flaking off of the animal.
Mm-hmm. No, I think
Isn't
that
there-
was the
that was
zoom in.
it?
Yeah, that is like the closest they get.
Yeah, it looks like it could be like ash in
Okay,
the
see,
air
yeah, like
almost.
those are the little pieces, right? It's like it looks.
This does not look like conducive to like normal animal rot, right?
No,
This looks pretty fucked up.
Looks burned.
it's actually really interesting too because the lady who came, to the door and stuff like that, she's like, it barely touched me. So it's like,
I wondered about that.
yeah. So it's like, is it a situation where it's like, is it the gas that touched you? Was it one of the animal, like one of the, like, the alien beasts that like touched you and then like left you looking like that? Like, was that corpse in that little side shed when that space dog thing came out of the field?
Space
Was
dog.
that same lady?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, because
She just decided to go hide in that next little shed.
Well,
right
because
next to
there was
the-
another door or hatch in there,
Mhm.
so she probably was like, "Well, they're not going to let me in this door. Maybe I'll go to that door." And then she probably died trying to get into that door.
Well, she was
Because-
probably waiting for an opportunity to try to get in. That's
Yeah.
got to be her best bet.
But at the end, she fishes the keys out of her pocket to try to take her car out of there, or she uses it first to do the alarm thing to get Space Dog away for a second.
Space dog.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like Space Dog. I'm saving that.
Yeah.
I'm using that from now on.
I mean, that's pretty much what it looked like. Yeah, it's just a space dog with like a weird, like, leech face.
Mhm.
Essentially, it looked like a sea leech. It just continuously like expanding.
Yeah, a little bit of xenomorph in there, but just a touch. And then the skin looked like what do you call that? The magnetic liquid, ferrofluid,
Yeah, something.
or something like that. Yeah, very sweet design. I really like that they like the major flaw of most monster movies is that they show the monster too early, and then
Or
you
it's
get to
bad when
yeah,
they show
or it's
it.
bad. And this it beats the stigma on both of those. It's like, no, you only get a little bit, but you get enough, and also it's gonna look really fucking cool. It's gonna be a sweet.
I mean, yeah, I'll be perfectly honest in that I'm a little surprised we haven't won the war yet. I mean, like if like she managed to be able to take down that living ship essentially by herself with one Molotov cocktail. You know what I mean? It's like I'm pretty sure we have technology well enough to be able to handle something like
It's
that.
like right in the mouth, though.
Well, that wasn't just any ordinary Molotov. It was like Glenfillet's. It's pretty good.
It's good shit.
Highly flammable.
Also, like on that note, I want to credit this person, Michelle's character, for being the most resourceful human being in the world. Like this girl does not stop. And like I get an appreciation for it at the beginning of the movie because and like this feels, shitty to admit to myself as well, but like I would spend way more time just feeling bad for myself and like emotionally coming to terms with the situation. She does not hesitate. She
I
just
mean-
figures stuff out.
Well, to be fair, it's like, well, when do you mean? Because I mean, she had a lot of time to think about things. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like,
but at the beginning of the movie, it's like back to back. Like she doesn't stop to panic. Hardly. Like she starts to cry a little bit when she finds herself chained up in the basement before we've even seen, Harold's character or whatever, Howard's character. And she moves over to like, getting her bag, trying to get the phone. She gets crutches immediately. She's like turning that into a weapon. And like she sits in there and waits for him for like a minute. And then she's like, nope, I'm going to start a fire. We'll get him in here quicker. It's the whole movie. She's just going. The only time she pauses to relax is when she is convinced that she's actually in the best place for her.
right. Well, I mean, it's conducive to her character, right? Because I mean, she self-describes herself as a person who likes to run away, right? And it seems like she likes to like. There is nothing that will keep her from running away from a situation,
Apparently not.
Even if it requires her to get violent. Or, I mean, I guess even if you want to like add the beginning of the movie alongside that theme, even slightly callous too, you know, because she like just straight leaves that Ben guy without talking to him any further than just like leaving him a voicemail that we don't even get to hear. You know what I mean?
By the way, can you guess? I know you only got to hear about 10 seconds, but do you know who voices that?
No, I didn't.
Freaking Bradley Cooper.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Isn't that weird? How do you get a face like that and then not use the face? I don't know.
Because it's probably cheaper that way?
Yeah, probably a lot cheaper.
They really do use that to like describe her character, but I like can't help but wonder because it's like, you know, it's like if they had a fight, like he kind of describes it on the phone and she's bolting, then like, yeah, maybe she's just a runner. But like if they had a fight and he hit her, then he's gaslighting her on the phone. You know, like we don't know what happened there. And I think it's like they build up that character bit, so it's probably a little column A, a little column B, like it was a bad situation, but she just dipped.
Yeah, tough to say. I wouldn't lean on the potentiality that Ben was physical with her just because I feel that they probably would have used that within the movie.
Probably, yeah.
And, you know, because they had a lot of, you know, her and Emmett had a lot of like, you know, moments of just camaraderie where they like talked about their past and stuff like that.
But she said her dad was abusive. And there is kind of a pattern there. You came from an abusive family to date abusive partners.
Maybe there was a shoulder grab, like a real fierce, like, I don't know, like almost a shake or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I don't know, though. I mean, if they're engaged, we can probably assume they've been together for a little while. You know, it's probably.
I kept thinking, you know, after Scott Pilgrim, if you go for Ben, it's not even close. You got to get out of there.
Yeah, it took me a second to remember where
Ramona
I had seen her
Flowers,
from. Yeah.
Did you recognize her from that?
Mm-mm.
She was the lady in Scott Pilgrim.
It's been too long since I've seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, the movie was very interesting.
So do you think the hesitancy to like Emmett and Michelle touching or having any sort of relationship was like a adopted father protection, overprotection?
Yeah, because
thing?
it messes with his fantasy of her being preteenish, you know, quasi-child girl.
Oh,
you know?
And he's like, don't be gross. Don't touch this little girl. Because he sees her, even like during the game where he's like, Michelle is a girl, child.
Yeah, I would imagine that, I don't know. I think it's like a bit of both where I can only assume that Howard is smart enough to understand that he's probably a sick person, you know, sick enough that he understands the kind of things that can shatter the fantasy that he's trying to play out right now. Though I would also imagine that the way that he goes about vindicating himself from doing this is by applying the position of I saved your life, you know, like you being my quasi daughter, you know what I mean, figurine situation here is like the least you could do in terms of that, just because of the fact that I mean I'm not, you know, again it probably re-solidifies in me too the fact that he probably wouldn't like be pervy with her in a sexual way, because again it's like it doesn't fall in line with the desire that he actually wanted, which was just essentially to crystallize the domesticity that he didn't get to have with his daughter, because maybe he was too busy building this bunker, and you know the irony of putting all of your time and effort into this fake domesticity while your real one, you know, breaks apart.
There's part I can picture him like in the back. Don't take the boosters. His wife and daughter are like, we're getting out of here. We gotta get out of here.
Yeah, it's weird.
There's a lot of really funny. I'm sorry. There's a lot of just memey parts of this movie too that I just feel as I was watching it. Like when she's like when she looks up at the birds, right? And like she's like and like the moment that she sees the birds, that's all the confirmation she needs to take off the mask. And I'm like, yeah, like that's it. Just like it almost reminded me exactly of how people were with COVID. Like the moment that things like started kind of feeling okay, like well, fuck it.
Well, people are outside.
Yeah.
People are hanging out. Must be fine.
You're not gonna like pop a finger out to make sure it doesn't burn your skin first.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, and then she hastens to refasten it at the end. She's like, "Oh shit, cloud of toxic gas."
There is gas.
Yeah,
because I mean, who's to say that the aliens aren't actively just doing like those chem bombs with the specific intention of killing humans and not any other animal? You know what I mean? Because it's like shit. If they can travel intergalactically, I'm sure they can probably figure out a way to be able to make it so other things don't die from their gas.
Right.
Like,
yeah, the humans are the only ones fighting back.
Yeah.
Get rid of those.
Yeah, exactly.
This planet's fine.
Yeah, why would I want to fight these ducks? They seem fine flying in their concentric V's. Like,
they are a little rapey,
yeah.
but that's fine. We'll leave them
but they're on their own on that. So,
on like a meta level, what did you think about John Goodman's performance in this movie compared to like everything else you've ever seen him in? Basically,
I thought he was amazing in it, especially in the sense that you could really, really tell, how, especially with his like non-verbal acting, how like that's really what sold it to me. It's just like the little ticks that he himself as an actor added for Howard. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it's like the dialogue wasn't that much. You know what I mean? It's like it was like his delivery on it and stuff like that. You know, just that one little scene where they were playing charades and he was like trying to pretend to be, like trying to make them guess Santa Claus and like, like
God, how good was that? How good was that? Because the film forces you to play both sides of your brain of like, is it just the clueless Howard and he doesn't know how to communicate well? Or
he's getting mad about this game right now.
Yeah. There's a couple of thematic coincidences that I didn't like though, and like, how did he find the scissors and stuff like that? Wasn't she using them? You know what I mean? Like, how did he find the duct tape? Like, it just almost felt like the movie was like, all right, well, we gotta start wrapping up to this next situation.
There's little tiny hints, and I think you're well within your rights to be upset by it because it's so fast and simple. But Melissa had a couple bundles of thread. Meanwhile, Emmett was using the scissors to cut the bottle that formed the gas mask. It's just a flash of a scene, but it's like enough to sort of film continuity tie that together.
No, I mean, I understand that they used the scissors. I mean, I watched Emmett pop them into his like little thing, I understand that he was using them. I'm just saying, like, how did Howard find out about them using it?
I think the assumption is like Emmett had the tools and he left those somewhere.
Maybe mildly carelessly.
Like he was collecting them or something. Because that's kind of the impression we get of his character is he's like a little bit flippant.
Yeah.
But that is fair to us. That is like a tiny bit of movie glue.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say on the previous point though, like John Goodman's performance in this movie floored me the first time I saw it. And I still like get giddy rewatching the movie, I think for the third or fourth time now. Like just the little bits of like when he just gives partial answers and then he gets out of there, like you can just really like, I'm always analyzing what he's feeling or what's coming out of that. And when he gets frustrated at the table, he does this thing with his hands where he opens them and clenches his fists, which like I have an extra appreciation now for now because one time I had a doctor's appointment where I was having like a procedure that was super painful and I did that with my hands like throughout as I opened them and clenched my fists like almost involuntarily, and it was interesting to see like I wonder what he's pulling from to work in like little tics like that.
Yeah, it's like the story of Saruman getting the knife in the back, right? He's talking to Peter Jackson. What were you gonna say? Oh, it sounded like you were gearing up there.
Oh, yeah. Perhaps I was gonna say something. I don't quite remember anymore right now. It was oh yeah, I was gonna ask you guys, what do you think would have happened if she would have been the one to confess to using You know what I mean?
Mm,
Do you
Same
think,
thing.
Do you think he would have killed her?
I don't
No.
think so. Although I think that's probably the situation that occurred when he killed, I don't know what else to call her, Megan, because I think she was killed in the act. Because, like, there was blood, like, right at the scene where, like, help was being scratched into, like,
Oh, and the bloody
the
earring.
window. Yeah. And there was blood there. And I think, I don't know if she covered it up during or if he covered it up after with that little, like, shutter thing on that window. But I think that, like, her attempt to get out or whatever pissed him off enough that he killed her.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, yeah, you don't just have a vat of acid like that, if you don't plan on using it.
Yeah, or if you haven't had to use it in the past.
Yeah, that too.
It is a sticking point, right? He did have a barrel of acid for what reason?
In case she misbehaves.
Well, in case who misbehaves? Like, he wasn't planning on Emmett being there. That does give credence to the argument that maybe he was out looking for a young lady.
Mm-hmm.
Or having stumbled across one, maybe just saw it as fortune.
Yeah, who's to say? I mean, I would imagine there's probably a lot of sick providence in that way. You know what I mean? Where he's just like, oh, thank goodness. You know what I mean? Like, I get to feel like a nice guy for saving this girl, and at the same time, I get to play out my little game essentially at the same time. Sometimes things just work out.
Yeah, he was watching.
And I get to use the vat of acid.
And that's weird.
No way.
He was watching 16 Candles. Very strange.
Yeah.
That is a strange movie.
It's not like
for,
a 40-year-old
man to sit down and watch.
Yeah,
Megan's
seriously.
favorite movie. Nice excuse. Yeah. I don't buy it.
Yeah, one thing I noticed too is while recalling things, he's really comfortable referring to this other girl as Megan. And it makes me wonder if he like treated her and had her pretend basically that she was Megan while she was there.
That's a
Or
good question,
if he's
yeah.
just doing some like crazy mental gymnastics to make that work.
Maybe that's when he was refining his craft to not come off like too creepy to where they're carving help into the ceiling. He's
Yeah.
like, I gotta tone it down.
I need to be a family man.
The next one.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
We'll
you never
lay
get
the
it right the
rules.
full first time.
Yeah.
That's for fucking sure.
You gotta try again.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, I just
Hey, 3 girls. Is it because we're talking about Cloverfield Lane and they're just continuously saying, girls, girls, girls?
yeah, maybe that's not super tasteful right now. John Goodman likes little girls.
Yeah,
Do you like
exactly.
little girls too?
You know, this is actually a point of pride for me because this is the first time we've gotten the girls bots in our live chat. Hey, we're moving up.
It's all
Hey.
thresholds, yep. We're slowly but surely.
Someone
Now-
or something sees
Now
us.
now we're big enough to spam. See, that's like before they didn't even bother. Now it's like,
You don't get spammed unless you think you're going to get a viewership
Yeah.
here. So, but yeah, it's interesting to like think through the process of like previous abduction and what that looked like and how he was thinking about that up to the point of where the movie is set, because he doesn't try to like make, I don't know, at least in any super obvious ways, he doesn't like try to make Michelle like pretend to be his daughter or
no,
anything.
he never
like
calls
that.
her. He never misnames her or anything like that. Like,
No.
Yeah, even after Emmett is dead, and you'd imagine that the full mask would come off about his desire to have her be Megan. And like, no, he still understands. Like, no, like you're Michelle. Megan used to like ice cream. You know what I mean? In a bowl.
We're cool.
Yeah.
Right? Everything's
Yeah,
good.
he explains it when he does make assumptions based on Megan. But I do wonder, like, all the stories about Megan and little things too, like the Paris thing and stuff. I can't help but wonder if those are the abducted girl's clothes and the abducted girl's interests, or
Well,
his actual
There were 2
daughters.
pictures, right? I mean, like one of the pictures that fell is of him with a little girl who's got the shirt that she was wearing.
And I don't think it's the same girl as the
I don't think.
I think it
abductee.
was. It looked like the same girl to me.
No, because that little girl looked. I don't know. Let's
Back it up.
Let's watch the movie again.
Because one was
Going
like
to
a
the tape.
school picture, and
Yeah,
one was
yeah,
like
one
a
was
candid.
No, I think I'm too far.
Nope, you're good. We're just a little bit to the back, a little bit further
Yeah,
back now.
right
'cause
there
at
where
this
she's
point,
going
they've
through the
already
book.
made the plan to get away.
This is the survival
They fall out of the
montage.
book. You just had it. You saw the book.
No, that was a different book. That was the one she pulled
Yeah,
off.
see, it's before. It's before he
Oh,
starts
it is
dancing.
before
Both
all
of them
this,
come
yeah.
out of that book.
Yeah.
One falls out on accident. One is in there as
Yep,
like
Okay,
it's
so
all
this
it's
is her
after all the
finding
situation.
the-
She finds a little earring.
Yeah.
Which honestly, that's another plot hole to me personally, because it's like you'd imagine Howard would be thorough enough to fucking pick up after himself in that way.
It could be the first time he killed somebody, though. He might be a little frazzled.
So how long ago do you think he killed this girl then?
Probably within the last year.
Probably.
Hmm.
Yeah, there is some tough like timekeeping.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
so-
there, take a good look.
Yeah.
She's got a little
like
mole
school.
on the
Yeah.
top of her lip.
Little mole. Creepy
Okay.
stare.
You guys could totally
creepy
be right.
stare.
This was my assumption. when
Hey,
I
no,
watched this.
we'll check, because I mean I'm pretty sure that we can assume that he actually did have a daughter.
All right, coming up for the
It would be
freeze
great to
frame.
confirm that he actually did have a daughter, because, just to be sure.
Oh no, see,
That's
there's,
her.
Yep, that's the mole, and she looks nonplussed.
Yeah, I'm
She
a
doesn't look
little.
thrilled
See,
to be
again,
here.
these pictures are a little confusing to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, how do you get your your abductee to just take a family picture like that? Like,
Maybe you spin the same story. It's not safe outside. The world's ending.
huh?
Look at my nasty pigs.
Or he's just scary, Like, you can get a lot of cooperation from any person, let alone like a teenage girl, just by being intimidating and leaving the possibility open that you might hurt them.
I suppose that's true.
Fair. Very fair.
Okay, so now I'm in a tougher position myself personally, because now I don't know whether he actually had a family.
A daughter, yeah. If he wears a wedding ring just because of his weird, distorted
Yeah.
A
shape.
wedding wing.
A wedding
Yeah.
ring. A wedding ring.
Yeah, or like maybe he was married before, but I don't know. Maybe he had there could have been like a miscarriage or something like that, where he always imagined himself with a daughter. Or it could just be like this crazy thing to make a girl more comfortable if he is like a predator.
Yeah, but we don't get the impression that he's a predator at all. There's no like sexualizing of anything. In fact, he's very adamant for that anything sexual to not happen around him.
Well, he doesn't want anything sexual with her and Emmett, which could, yield itself to seeming more
jealousy
like a
thing.
jealousy issue.
Yeah.
But he is he seems defensive in almost in a way that I would be defensive when he wants to keep the door open because and stand in the doorway while she uses the bathroom. And he's like, I'm not some kind of pervert. This is for my safety.
Okay,
You
but
just
to
set
be
fire
fair
in here.
to him, right? I mean, she had just tried to stab him.
That's
And
what I'm
burn the place
saying.
down,
Yeah.
Is the way that he responds to that doesn't seem like someone who is a pervert to me. It seems like pretty reasonable if someone tries to light a fire in your bunker that you're not going to leave them unattended in the next hour.
You know, another thing that I never understand is how is that they can get away from each other enough to be able to whisper and not
Have
have
their
each other
little-
here? Because it's like they did a pretty good job of showcasing us the entirety of the bunker, and it's like her room, long hallway full of closets. I mean, full of the containers, main room, breakfast nook up here, living room down here, and then his room on the side over here.
But he's got to sleep.
Well, and I was thinking sleep, and also John Goodman is a big guy.
Mhm.
Those are big dumps.
Yeah,
Big dumps. And big dumps take big time.
right.
You need at least 20 minutes
He's speaking from experience right now.
to get a big dump out.
That's fair. Yeah. No, okay, that's fair. I mean, if you can parse out the conversations 5 minutes apiece.
I mean, you've been living together a couple months. You know that everybody's sort of
Rhythm.
timetable.
Schedules.
Yeah,
Yeah.
their schedules. Yeah.
Yeah, sleeping for me seems like the best opportunity if you both wake, because they sleep very close to the same area.
Yeah,
Emmett
they sleep
and
one
Michelle.
wall away from each other.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
the point that they can hear each other across the wall.
Mhm.
Whereas he's down the hall and through the living area.
Yeah.
So it seems like it would be very hard to monitor all those conversations if you have to sleep and, use the bathroom and cook. He cooks most of the meals, which makes noise.
And he's probably at least somewhat under the impression that these two are going to keep in line and just, or toe the line, they're not going to fuck around. They understand that outside is crazy.
You know what's weird to me is for such a well thought out seeming guy about his approach here, he really does some things like poorly, because it's like in threes, the absolute best way to force a friendship between two people is to be an asshole in a group of three. Is like, because they're going to start pairing up against you or talking about how shitty you are, whatever that is, because then they're allies if you're shitty to both of them.
And then it's mutiny.
Exactly.
It's like,
I'm confused. Do you think that his approach was incorrect? Like he should have seen it coming better, like what he was doing?
I think the two things that he does poorly, most notably, is doesn't give enough information up front, because everybody's going to feel more like if I wake up in a scary basement and I'm chained to the wall, if you give me all of the information up front, I'm going to calm down a lot faster and probably do fewer things that suck for you. But he answers things vaguely at the beginning in a very frustrating way. Like he's like, I'm sorry, but nobody's looking for you. Okay, well, you sound extra like a serial killer now, and I'm going to figure out my next moves from here. Like, I think he could have been more open and had a better response. And I also think borderline abusing the other two people in here is of course going to make them spark up a camaraderie.
Yeah, I would imagine that him having the gun probably kept them from caring too much about that, right? It's like
also,
what?
Well, I was just going to say, you sound very unappreciative right now.
Yeah.
And you need to provide a lot more gratitude.
That's exactly what I'm talking about, Jose. Don't you think he sucks?
Oh yeah, I'd have stabbed him in the neck a long time ago.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was just gonna say that he probably had his authority skill points at max, and he's just like, you know what? I don't need to care too much about the psychology aspect of this situation.
I don't really care about your feelings.
Yeah,
right
exactly.
Oh, that's military though.
And that's, I mean, a lot of the way that he got in her face without touching her, you know what I mean? And just raising his voice and just really emanating, you know what I mean? The potential violence about himself really felt quite drill sergeant-y.
He did a little punchy thing on the wall.
Yeah, but not on her. That's what I'm saying. It's
yeah, but it sends a message.
Yeah, exactly. He emanates the violence that could happen to her, but she doesn't get touched.
Yeah.
But to your point earlier, even then she's not 100% plussed by that. She's still thinking about getting the keys, you know what I mean? It isn't as though she freezes up 100%. Her flight response is actually extremely high, within her fight or flight. She uses a little bit of fight in order to be able to increase her flight.
In order to enable flight.
In order to enable flight as quickly as possible. Yeah. Which, I mean, it makes sense again if, her whole thing is being a flighty person, in the sense that it's the moment that there's resistance she's not into, she's like, I'm not going to work this out. I'm going to leave.
Because she leaves Emmett there, too, when she makes that attempt to leave. She pulls down shit, when she doesn't think there's any problem outside, she pulls down stuff in her path to prevent.
Yeah, she's like, I'm getting out.
Yeah.
Yep, Emmett, you figured it out.
And Emmett was still back there, and she bolted towards the door and then doubled down on it by locking everybody out, or in, rather.
Yeah, no, that's very true. Yeah, I mean, if she genuinely believed that this guy was violent, that was a pretty callous thing for her to do, because of the fact that now he's left Emmett down there incapacitated, and with this guy's rage, with nobody else to focus it on.
Now he doesn't have a daughter.
Yeah, and exactly, and he doesn't seem to have any, none of that weird pathologic infantilizing for men in any type of way. So,
well, I mean.
Well, he's got a girl around.
If Emmett shaved his beard, put on a little makeup.
You're Megan now.
Called himself Emma, yeah.
Yeah, you're Emma now.
Put on the Paris t-shirt.
This movie's going way south really quick. It's gonna get weird.
But yeah, I really like the process. You know, I like that the only perspective that I have, you don't ever see a scene where you're not Michelle, you know? Your perspective is only Michelle's, and you're like going through the same thought process as her. And I like that. I like, you know, like John Goodman as Michelle seems like the worst. I'm trying to figure out what that looks like and what the balance is between like survival and the friendship that you've sparked up with Emmett and all of that. Almost called him Emma. It's sticking already.
How dare you dead name Emma?
Yeah. Yeah, because the thing that causes her to hit him in the face is the fact that she hears the car upstairs, right?
Yeah, she
he
thinks
noticed
she
he
hears
didn't have
a
his
car.
keys.
There's this.
Okay, interesting.
Because
Okay.
he's reached for them for his
Because
bottle
right now
opener.
I'm in the process of either being a little disappointed about like a plot coincidence, or it all gels just fine.
Well, explain. Yeah, go ahead.
Because in the plot coincidence way of thinking about it, okay, she grabs the keys, he gets angry, and that's what makes her hit him in the face and run toward the door.
No, yeah, Hannah was. Yeah, she was.
He had a bottle opener on his keys, and he had 2 beers out there.
No, I know that part. I know that part. What I'm saying is the fact that when she runs upstairs, right, and is like trying to get out, if at the moment, because I can't quite remember actually, if her hearing that car again isn't the catalyst for her breaking the bottle on his face, it seems a bit too plot conveniency that, like, right as she's about to open the door and try to figure it out, like, there's this person that comes by, you know what I mean, all fucked up in the face to really cement the fact that, like, this, the outside isn't, good.
You're 100% right.
Is that?
Yeah. I think you're 100% right. But I think it is also the only thing that you could do to have the film successfully transition from Act 1 to Act 2.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because of the fact that they already showcase the fact that the sound of a car can be heard from under the basement, right? They could have made it so Michelle could have gotten in Emmett's ear in the sense of being like, maybe this isn't all real, as real as we think it is, And in hearing that car, like, they both, like, in this way, she's not all calloused and like leaving him behind. Like, they go off and try to do it together, when they hear the car, and like they either knock him out like they did before, and they're both in that little hallway trying to open the door at the same time. And because of the catalyzing of the car, the lady would naturally be at the front in the front by that point, and then they could see and be like, oh fuck, oh no, like, it's true, like.
So I think it is plot conveniency a little bit. Like, I want to agree with you on that. But I also think, like, she had been hearing the car before, and she had mentioned that to Emmett. And I think it's like a possibility, being that lady is his neighbor and she knows that shelter is there. She might be returning, to continue to try. Because if she's like banging on that door outside, they probably can't really hear
Also,
her.
Emmett is under the impression that everything that Michelle is telling him is probably impossible. So he might be in the mindset that he's not hearing things drive up and, he's not even looking for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say.
I'm trying to help the film as much as I can.
No, for sure. I mean, one can most certainly start gaining perception filters if you don't assume that things are going to be happening.
Right.
Or the sound, or he could attribute the sound to something else, Yeah, I like the whole time I was just thinking that it just felt a little too contrived, because I really liked her taking off action and, hitting him in the face and then running upstairs and everything like that. But then, yeah, having that lady just appear at exactly that moment with the car in order to be able to then, prove the point, convenient. It just feels
chef's kiss.
Yeah.
just a bit too much, especially because, again, like, I feel like they could have done it just more organically.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it really could have been a situation where, like, people come and bang at his door all of the time, and if
Or a
they've
couple,
already,
yeah.
if they've already been there a couple days, right? Because by the time that she's eating dinner with them, she no longer needs like the fluids, like, through the IV and whatever. Like she's walking more normally. She didn't limp up the stairs when she was like,
Kind
yeah.
of.
Yeah, okay.
A little.
But either way,
Yeah.
I could imagine that there'd just be more, just more organic ways to do that than the way that it happened there. But
Fair enough.
yeah.
I agree with you because I think it's like, when she gets up there, there's like headlights on. So I think the assumption is that someone just drove up.
Just
She's
at
like,
that
there's a
time.
car, and it could be a few different things, but I do think it's very convenient that just at that moment, that lady happens to be there and happens to see her in this like tiny little window that's.
Well, it's like ground level, so she walks right up to it. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be
Yeah.
perfectly honest in that I don't believe that you could hear a car from under the bunker like that. I mean, if
Depends
you
on how
if you
deep it
look at the
is.
incline right from where it's like the door to the outside world, and then like how deep it goes, I mean, like it's pretty fucking far in the ground, like.
Probably like 20 feet down.
Especially if you consider the fact that on the other side there's a vertical hatch, that's like got quite a big ladder to get all the way up to against like the flat surface section of it. And that part is on top of the part that they normally sleep on, right? Because you get through it through the vents. Like, like the vents are above your head when you're in the bunker, and then from there you have to stand up and continue crawling upward.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. All right.
From the
we better
ceiling
do
level,
like
yeah.
ratings soon before I start falling. All your nitpicking.
Yeah, I mean that's just the problem when so many parts of the movie are really really good. It's like the more glaring ones are just very easy, far easier to see because of that.
Yeah, you said the bar's so high. My expectation is so high.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, let's see. Is there anything else? Yeah, I mean that was mostly just a script doctoring aspect of it, because it's like they already had all of the elements necessary to just keep the whole thing really organic without any need for contrivance. Like that's what I am a little bit disappointed in, is the fact that everything really was poised there to continue it just being an organic reveal the entire time. Especially since, like I said, they had already set up the fact that you can hear, okay, fine, you can hear cars, you know what I mean, from that bunker. Okay, that's totally fine.
As a subterranean construction expert, I can tell you, you can hear cut. No, I'm just kidding.
I feel like you probably could because noise travels through objects, like mass. So I feel like you probably could, but the cars need to be like driving over the bunker, which seems a little bit unlikely to me because it's like just grass field,
Holy shit! I feel like we kind of almost need to rewatch that scene where she hits him in the face with the glass, because don't the helicopters also go right above them at that point too?
I think it's weird that they can hear the helicopters.
It's a guess by John Goodman, but he also says that that's not our military,
right? Which is probably that like fucking alien ship,
probably
doing like the gas fuming situation, right? That would be my assumption.
That's my guess, yeah.
But no, but again, what I'm asking though is what was the catalyst to her hitting him in the face? It's like,
could you back it up?
Yeah,
let's
like,
just do it.
Isn't it just the flight coming in strong?
The what?
Well, this is all before she's seen this spooky lady at the window. And
Well,
so she is still under the impression that Howard's lying about everything that's going on outside. And he's somehow tricked Emmett into believing his lies.
Right.
I don't know if there's a catalyst necessarily, except for that she sees the opportunity to grab his keys.
Yeah, just go back.
That's
for a
what I
second.
think, but I think with Jose's question, we should confirm that there's not a car sound. Because if there's a car sound, that's different too.
Yeah, we want to give you guys...
I'll show you the car sound. You didn't hear it the first time.
Oh, no, I did.
No, not at any given time, right when they're sitting at the table.
Yeah, that's the scene that I want to see. I want to see
question.
what is the thing that makes it so she's like, hit him in the face,
I think it was just opportunity knocking. I don't think there was like an actual catalyst.
It's probably like 20 minutes from now. You can probably just keep skipping forward like that.
Yeah, it's hard to tell when the first act ends here.
Oh, it's right there.
Wait.
Yep.
The
Talking
dinner
and
scene.
talking.
Bear with us, audience, as we double check
Hey, listen.
this.
Yeah, we're trying to make sure that we're
Aren't
not
you watching
fucking up.
along with us? That's the whole point.
Now back
should
it
have already
up to
watched
40
this.
minutes in.
You should
so
have
he's
this
like-
on your browser ready to go.
Yeah, he's going for his
Oh, okay.
keys.
We're going to need to like see and hear it though.
Well, I can't turn on the audio.
I mean, the microphones are good. You should be able to turn it on quietly.
No, it's picking up. I think OBS is picking up
'cause it's
desktop
on your
audio
laptop.
too.
Yeah, no, don't bother. I just need to be able to see it.
Yeah, it is
Don't get in the way. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
You see
it's
that?
looked up.
Oh,
You see that? Okay.
yeah, she does look up. Yep.
So it's a mixture of both things at the exact same
Yeah.
time. Wow, talk about fucking butt clenchingly close.
Yeah, no kidding.
From failing you.
yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
We have a high standard here at the Lethal Introspection Podcast. We expect our
The
films to live
entire
up to
movie
that.
rating pivots on this
Oh,
one
100%.
little
And I mean,
detail.
it really does make a lot of difference in
Yeah.
relation to being like, okay, was it just the fact that she got the keys that
Mhm.
made her want to hit him in the face? Or was it the actual confirmation of the fact that there was noise up
Noise,
there
yeah.
that he isn't accounting for? You know what I
I'm
mean?
glad you made me go back and
Yeah.
look at it because I had never known. I had always assumed that it was just an opportunity knocking thing, and she saw a chance.
I assumed it was stress from the keys
Yeah.
thing, but I think it's a few things playing there. Because, you know, maybe if it was just the keys, she would have hid them, got him looking for them, something like that.
Now I'm like picturing the outside world as that scene is happening, right? So is it do you think it's a situation where that gigantic living ship went by fumigating like it was, and then that, you know, and they hear that, right? And they're like, oh, what the fuck, you know? And then that's what makes that lady be like, nah, fuck that. I'm gonna go and try to go into Howard's like thing now, you know,
That's where
like
she pulls up.
you know, and like maybe she was like rolling up the window as like it was flowing right by her, and just a little bit got into her car,
Mhm.
giving her that nasty gash. I mean, like that, like, you know,
It
cancer
only
shit on her
touched her a
forehead.
little bit.
Yeah,
It only
exactly.
touched her a little bit. Actually, in
That
like,
actually gels pretty well.
Yeah.
it's not bad. One other like point on the physical like acting there that I really liked is when she takes the keys, she's like crushing them in her hand, and just thinking of that too, like trying to make sure the keys don't make noise, so
make
you're
the
like
jingles
not
nice.
resituating to hide them more in your hand. You're just trying to keep them as still as possible. I thought that was a really nice detail. It like made me feel the stress of trying to hold on to something.
Yeah, the amount of times that the film forces you into these like little moments of stress and then pulls you back out.
Yep.
What a great trick. Like
Yeah.
that's what you should do in a thriller. Yeah.
And they don't give you that opportunity to like so many thrillers. I'm like, why aren't you doing something? I never feel like that in this movie because this girl goes, you
Hmm.
know?
She's trying.
Yeah, she's doing everything she can.
She's trying.
Oh, she's trying.
Yeah, I mean, would you guys have attempted to do the whole thing where what they were talking about, where they're like, we're gonna tie Howard up and then we're gonna go off and get help, as opposed to just killing him?
Well, he's just so knowledgeable.
Hmm.
You know, he's like he built this place basically. He knew how to make an air filtration system. He's got like he probably did save their lives in actuality.
That's the only thing that I like don't get about this movie is like,
Well, he for sure saved Emmett's life, you know, which kind of, I guess, would give him a light bit of vindication or justification to being like, okay, I literally let you in here with absolutely no need to have to do so. And now you're actively telling me that you were going to violently mutiny against me, you know?
It pissed me off.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't get like the sneaking. Like once they're pretty confident that he killed a girl in here, I mean there's two of them. He's got to sleep at some point. Whether you're killing him or tying him up, I don't know what I would do in that situation, but I wouldn't want to be sneaking around, you know, progressively taking on more risk as you go. I would think like we're going to take our first opportunity to overpower him, get him like lock him in this room he locked me in, however he did that, you know, originally, and figure something out there and just like feed him, keep him around maybe. But I would want him to be a non-risk by the time we were planning like a get out of here plan and putting things together.
I don't think that they would have ever stood a chance to have actually subdued him, other than perhaps like finding his stash of that things that he used in order to be able to knock her out at the beginning of the movie.
That would have been a fun tie back. Yeah.
You know, that would have potentially worked out. Maybe they needed two because he's so big. You know what I mean? Like they both have to do it at the same time.
We need more syringes. Well, seriously though, like the dude's got half his face melted off with acid.
I mean, his pain thresholding.
Yeah, he's
his
crazy.
pain thresholding is ridiculous. Like
it's out of this world.
It's crazy how much, damage he actually takes throughout the movie, and he's still going. It's like.
Well, yeah, after he gets like bashed in the face with a bottle too, he's going up those stairs. Like he's not. Takes very little hesitation time.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's tough. I guess in that end it's tough too, right? Because I mean, he is under the impression that the air could be toxic outside. Like it's not like as though he doesn't believe that.
Yeah.
So
he definitely. Yeah, when Emmett does the little gambit of I'm not trying to tell you how to run your place or anything, but it could be very possible that shower curtain is contaminated. And he resumes the movie for a half second, stops it. It's like, God damn it. Yeah, he's probably right.
Now I can't sit here.
I gotta throw that away. Yeah, that's a fun little moment. Do you
I think it would have been nice if they would have kept doing that. Like,
yeah.
You spend so much time with this guy because you have to, right? To the point that you can understand the idiosyncrasies, that you can, do the light manipulation necessary to get to that point.
Well, he built a shelter for him too, so I'm sure he got all sorts of it has to be airtight. Don't you know what kind of contaminants could track their way in here? Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, he got all the Howard talk the whole time.
For years.
Yeah. Howard's an interesting guy. He's very, very interesting.
Yeah, what do you call it? Entertaining work or something?
Entertaining. Yeah, he was quite entertaining. Do you want to?
Yeah, we can do ratings
rate
now. We've been at it for an hour now.
Yeah, man. I don't know. Hannah, you decide who goes first.
I think Jose should go first since this is his first experience with the movie. I don't want him to be, not that he would be, but I don't want him to be
keep chipping away at my rating. Anyway.
Let's see. I want to give it like a 4.5 out of 5. I might be able to get a 5 out of 5 out of it if I watched it again and maybe stamp down on a couple more niggles that I have with the movie. That perhaps again it might just be my misremembering of the situation, just like
right. You miss a second here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it looks like a movie that has like a lot of silent clues within it when it comes to like figuring out what's the entire gist of what's going on. I mean, I really like the set. I liked it was very austere. Just having that one bunker be the entirety of the film, essentially. And then I really liked the fact that the ending, pretty much prologue or act 4, really, if you want, call it that. Like, it was pretty much a 180 to the rest of the movie because it wasn't an open field the entire time. The antagonist was no longer human. It was most certainly aliens. I guess it's also kind of nice, from my personal opinion, just to know that the antagonist is kind of vindicated in his way of thinking. Him abducting people isn't cool. That part he doesn't get my my stamp of approval on, but
not cool.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah, talk about a lethal take, right? Yeah, kidnapping people, not cool.
Is abducting people justified if you're saving their life? Even if you want to keep them as your daughter.
Oh, see, now there's a fun.
Depends on how you view morality,
for sure.
Really.
Yeah,
everybody benefits.
I mean, honestly, you yourself would never be a good person in that way because you're already being so selective as to who you're looking to save. It's like you're not seeking to do an altruistic act. You're seeking to, kind of kill two birds with one stone in that way.
Yeah, but is the right thing to do. I mean, it still can be considered to some degree a good thing to do to save someone, right? As opposed to saving a random person.
I don't know. It's tough to say because I don't know. I'm very intention oriented when it comes to my, the way that I view people's morality or did they do something right? Did they do something wrong?
Yeah.
It's like his intention was to pretty much abduct somebody.
To have a daughter. Yeah.
Probably.
So it's like, that's the foundational intention of what he was trying to do. And, everything from there, it's just like, it's like a poisoned fruit, it's like, it pretty much poisoned the entire rest of the flow of what he's trying to do from then on out. So it's like, even if the evil gets diluted because it's actually, the acts could be, viewed as doing a good thing, it still comes from a root of malice, because, he didn't, he kept them fed. He kept them, in dignity in terms of like being able to use the restroom, in a particular place, like.
Kind of.
What?
To ask to use the bathroom.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, because
the
of like the limited flushing aspect of it. I mean, like that. I mean, in terms of like the practicality of that angle, I can totally understand. It's like, okay, I have a big enough septic tank for X amount of flushes. We need to be able to actually,
I planned this for 2 people, and now I have 3.
Yeah, that must have been so fucking annoying on his part of being like, yeah, like I had all of this well planned out so we could be here. You know what I mean? Forever, for as long as necessary.
Yeah. I was looking for the cost. I couldn't find it.
The cost of what?
Yeah, I think it said 13 to 15 million.
Oh, it says right there. Budget, 13 to 15. And I made 10 times over.
Yep.
So
good on them.
I personally saw this movie in theaters twice.
Nice.
Yeah, I saw it once as well. Fantastic. I was gonna piggyback on like 2 things you said there.
Give your rating while you're at it.
Oh, right. I said 4.5.
Yeah, he said 4.5.
I mean, you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's what I was going to. I think the small set of characters, I'm a super sucker for. It like really keeps the story well contained. It focuses on the characters, how they react and their emotions, and that's so powerful when it's in such a small space like this. So that's one of the things that I completely agree with you on.
The scenario itself in the movie made it so the movie could forego what I find is always a very cliche and cheesy scene that always happens in these abductor thrillers where the police come by and they're like snooping around and
just to make it realistic enough.
They just lightly miss, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the victim and stuff. Like, to me, that's always just so eye-rollingly bad, you know?
Yeah, they go back to the station. They're like, well,
yep,
it's Friday, so.
Yeah, the only movie that I feel has done that pretty all right was that Prisoners movie. Yeah.
That's why we picked it for the cast. 'Cause
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those gems. But yeah, there's all that John Goodman's grade A acting performance, and just the fact that they took a thriller and spiced in just enough sci-fi to make it way more palatable than just the thriller might have been on its own. And for that, prior to the podcast, I was like, I'm giving this movie a 6 out of 5. This is the winner. But all your nitpicking, really, and that's like, I'm glad, because that is part of the reason that we do this. But I'm comfortably at a 5 out of 5 for this movie. It's one of my all-time favorite sci-fi adventures. Super self-contained, very well done in my opinion. So that's where I'm at. 5. That's a winner for me.
Oh, I mean, it makes perfect sense. I mean, Michelle had a full arc in the movie, right? I mean, she went from an individual who runs away from her problems or always tries to find the escape hatch in a situation to being like, no, I'm going to go to Houston and I'm going to try to help with the resistance. And like,
I'm going to fight back. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Although I do have to say, though, that it's kind of weird, the fact that she was like knocked out for hours upon hours when she got crashed by a normal truck on like a normal vehicle on truck situation, but then was 100% even less scathed looking when she fell from the air after that fucking tentacle thing was like holding on to her.
Well,
I honestly thought the movie was going to end there, because it's like because again, I kind of would like to see it again because it's like it almost looked like she landed on her head, like the car was upside down, like as she was like tumbling down. Like
also when they're in the air, and I know she's like in panic, adrenaline, and everything, but when they're in the air, she falls inside the car, and her head cracks the back window.
Yeah,
and I don't know how many, like, if we all know, like, how strong car windows are, but if your head cracks a car window, you're going to feel that
yeah,
shit.
holy shit, yeah, like
You
the
get a
fact that
little
she
lump.
wasn't like 100% like dazed at that moment. That she
Yeah.
could think, yeah, time to grab this map and put it inside this Jim Beam, and
It's adrenaline, baby.
yeah, I
Yeah,
guess so.
It's movie adrenaline. It's even better than regular.
Right, yeah.
Very powerful stuff. I was gonna put it back on, but I closed the tab, and now they're asking me to rent it again. I'm not doing
Whoa,
it.
what?
Yeah, I don't.
You rented it? I thought it was just in Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I think you're allowed to like watch it once all the way through in the span of like a week or something. I don't
You
know.
only get to watch it once? Wow, that's fucked.
Maybe.
Because I mean, I know that when you rent movies on YouTube, they give you like a certain amount of time that you could just keep watching the movie.
That's how most of them are.
Yeah.
Look, Amazon wouldn't be $1 billion company if they were just letting you watch the movie over and over.
Fucking Christ.
Rent it again. Even
Yeah.
though, like, if we're talking old school, like, if you rented a VHS at Blockbuster, you can watch it as many
Yeah, you
times
can
as you want.
rent it for up to 30 days and you can have 48 hours to watch it when you start. Like, Jesus fucking Christ.
What do
Well,
you think?
that's a shame. That's too bad.
I'm like a super firm 5 for this movie. Like, it's
Super firm 5.
yeah, like I think all movies have, you know, their little flaws and stuff. It'd be very hard to make a project like this without something, you know, that can be picked at or whatever. But I mean, I agree with what you said, Matt. I have a weakness for super contained movies. I think humans are complex, you know, and it really gives an appreciation for the complexity of people if you contain a movie and don't throw around the details too much, and you can just, there's more than enough there to enjoy and to think about. So I really enjoyed that. I have such an appreciation for, like, it makes me wonder how many bad movies could be good if you have an actor like John Goodman in them, you know, as like a lead character.
95%.
Because I think his performance carries so much of this movie.
Yeah, imagine
for
if
me.
Tommy Wiseau was Howard, right? Same dialogue, same everything.
I did not hurt Michelle. I did not. Oh, hi, Emmett.
It would be a totally different experience to have anybody else there. And like, that's a huge factor
I did
for
not
me.
hit her.
Yeah. Anyway.
Sorry.
No,
I
I
think-
mean, I'm just proving your point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a script can be great, but you're right in the sense that, like, you know, the appropriate actors at the appropriate place
Casting's
really can make
important.
Or break.
quite
Yeah.
the difference. Yeah.
Mhm.
Also,
Yeah.
on top of the fact that, like, you know, a seasoned actor like John Goodman probably provided a lot of extra idiosyncrasy to the character as they were like probably just playing like, okay, yeah, I can see how Howard would do this, but okay, we're talking about a military guy, right? We're talking
I'm sure
about
he
a pepper
leveled it
guy,
up
right? We're
so
talking-
hard.
Yeah, like just really hammering down, you know what I mean, the broad strokes, you know, aspects of what it was initially scripted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to develop like crazy eyes, that probably takes a while. Get,
This
like,
is
a
actually just
real
a-
crazy stare going.
This is actually a tiny bit off topic, but at the same time, not really, in the sense of like good actors really bringing even more out of the material. I watched this like tiny snippet with damn it, what's his name? It's from The Departed, the guy who's the snitch. Well, who's the actor who plays
You
that?
mean Leo
Leo?
DiCaprio?
The other guy? Sorry, not
Oh,
Matt
Matt
Damon?
Damon.
Matt Damon. Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, Matt Damon is giving a little interview about The Departed, and he's talking about the fact that, fuck, man, I'm just terrible with names right now. Old guy, what's his name?
Jack Nicholson?
Jack Nicholson, exactly. Jack Nicholson. He's like, yeah, at the very beginning
Like
of the movie.
three biggest names in Hollywood.
Oh, I know.
You
I'm just
forgot.
I'm having like a brain fog right now. Yeah, like Jack Nicholson was like, yeah, like, okay, so we're giving like this montage of this guy, right? And he's like a real terrible guy. And it's like, but you know, it's like, yeah, like, and it all works. It's like, but you know, if you really wanted to make it sinister, like, if you like, there's this part where I'm killing this guy on the beach. It's like, but what if we make it a woman? instead of a man, and she's kneeling on the beach. And he's like, you can do that, and that'd be pretty sinister. But he's like, but if you keep the camera rolling, then he could have it so the guy shoots him. The guy shoots the lady, and she lands on the thing, and the first thing he says is, "Oh, she fell funny," And it's like, now that's sinister, And it's like, but if you keep the camera rolling, it's like then you can watch as the guy who's like his second in command goes down with an axe to like chop off her like arm. And he says to him, like, you should probably think about seeing someone, Francis. Like, it's like all of that stuff wasn't in the initial like script, like all of those like tiny, like just what's that, like 5-7 seconds extra in the film, but it really does pepper in how much more like dark and like evil and crazy like that, that guy is. Without having to do a whole ass other scene, you know what I mean? Essentially being, at that point, probably gratuitous, because you're trying to hammer a point as opposed to make a point. Someone's evil like that should be very, easy to feel after a while.
It should be something that you experience, like you would see something in real life and get to put that together for yourself, as opposed to it being like pushed into your brain.
Right. And John Goodman with Howard in this situation, right? Like regardless of how amiable he tries to be, he can never get rid of that like dark aura essentially around him as to like what, like, he can continuously try to flower what he's trying to do. Like, I saved you, you know what I mean? Like, we're doing this because of this and X, Y, and Z. Oh, I had a daughter, she was so nice, but the entire time you can never be removed, you know what I mean, from being on edge. Even if you've, I kind of lightly knew that John Goodwin was the bad guy in this movie before I came in and saw it, right? But it's like, if I had seen it in theaters, like as blank as I possibly could have, I mean, there was a lot of areas where you could really be like, oh shit, like maybe he is telling the truth. Like maybe I'm the asshole. Like
that's exactly, So just to like, I mean, as like a final point on like my review too, is like, that's one of my favorite things about this movie is that you're constantly reading subtext. Like, it's so rare to find a movie that doesn't insist on giving you the answer, and like kind of in a way like mansplaining it or talking to you like you're a child from the movie's perspective.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about this movie is that I spend the first 3/4 of it constantly doubting myself. And it's like, it's that experience that really, really makes this movie for me, is that it is an experience and I enjoy it so much every time that I watch it. Like, I don't think I could not give it a 5 and feel okay with that because I like it so much.
Right on.
Well said.
All right, cool.
Big time agree.
I think we managed to be able to run this well pretty dry.
Yeah. Coming fresh off a sweet Minnesota Young Gravy concert, I think that's going to be it for this episode.
This one was an act of love because holy shit.
Jose's suffering. My thighs hurt real bad. Nobody got enough sleep last night.
The LIC crew danced hard last evening. Everyone's sore. Everyone's tired.
But
this now I gotta go dance some more in like an hour and a half.
Oh man!
Really?
You better get your dance pants on.
We're gonna go to First Avenue to see like a Bad Bunny set.
This is so ambitious to do 2 live
Aren't
music.
You 30?
Gonna go home and take another shower to like pretty much, wake myself up.
Get ready.
All right. Well, in appreciation and a little bit of mercy for Jose, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you all for jumping in with us, and have a good day and a good night.
Good night.
Good night.